Creating a new content type is very simple. It can be done through the web browser or through SharePoint Designer. So I'm looking at a publishing portal right now, and I've just recreated this as a default publishing portal with all the same settings as they are right out of the box. And sometimes it's actually useful to reverse engineer the existing situation. So we know that when we create a new page in this kind of site, that we'll have the ability to choose from a few existing page layouts, because SharePoint actually gives us a few of them just with this default site template. So what are these? What is actually going on here? I can see that I've got page layouts for body only, image on the left that I can change to, gives me a slightly different layout. Back to the page section of the ribbon, image on the right, gives me another one, and so on. But where are these? Well, I'm going to go to my Site Actions, Site Settings on this site, and what I'll find is the Master Pages and Page Layouts gallery. Clicking that will take me to an area where I can see there's article left.aspx. That's my page layout for an article with an image on the left. There's my page layout for an article with an image on the right. Now, if I look over here on the right-hand side, I can see that I have an associated content type with each of these. Sometimes this is missing, but that's when I'm looking at a master page, because it's the page layouts that need these content types. So we're always using content types, even if you don't really think about them. And notice that there seem to be multiple page layouts for the same content type, and that's perfectly acceptable. If we're working with articles, well, let's say that in our website all articles are the same. We just want to have a variety of different formalized layouts for them, with the image on the right, the image on the left, or a set of links. What I can also do is just click on the associated content type name to find some information about this. Now remember that content types aren't anything visible. All they are a collection of columns, of pieces of information. We're actually saying, well, what does it mean to be an article? In this case, it means we have a title, which is a single line of text. We have comments that can be multiple lines of text. We have a scheduling start date and end date. These are being used to support some of that scheduling functionality in the publishing feature. We have a contact name and an email address. We have page image and page content. We can have an article date and a byline. And this is what has been defined by Microsoft for the article page content type. I can choose to use this, or I can choose to make my own, or even make several of them. Now, one thing that's worth seeing here is that this content type called article page actually has a parent content type just called page. And in fact, any content type that you make is going to have an existing content type. We're going to base it on something that already exists. And this actually makes our life easier. I can click directly through here and go to page and see that page is a content type that seems to just have a little bit less information. In fact, page is a built-in content type that has pretty much the basics that you need for using the publishing feature. That we have a title, some comments, a scheduling start date and end date, contact information, and some audience information. And in fact, I could use this. This would actually be a pretty good starting point for my own content type. So to get directly just to the content types, I go back to my site settings page, and I notice that I have a site content type gallery. Like most things in SharePoint, if you're defining this kind of information, you really want to do it at the root or the top level site of a site collection. So clicking on content types actually shows me all the content types I have available in the site collection. As you can see, there's quite a lot of them. These are all the content types that appear with the publishing site right out of the box. And I can see here that I even have my page layout content types. They're grouped. I've got article page, project page, redirect page, a welcome page, enterprise wiki page. I'm going to come up to the top and I'm going to click the create button and make my own. I want a content type for products, and that doesn't exist right now. So I'm going to create them, and I'll call it product page because it is for making web pages. You don't have to use the word page, but it makes it a bit more specific about what you're doing. You can give it an optional description. And here's where we have to specify a parent. What I'm going to do is come down into my publishing content types and select page. Another option here could have been finding the article page, which was under page layout content types, and selecting that one. But I'm going to select publishing content types and page. And what that will do is just give me the basic data that I already need, things like scheduling information and contact information, so I don't have to write it all myself. And then down here, it's going to ask, well, where is this new content type going to go? I might create my own group. It's just like creating a folder to put it in, but actually I'm just going to leave this one. Put it in the existing group of custom content types. It'll be easy to find there. And click OK. I now have a content type. That's it. And I can see that because I based it on page is my parent content type, I have all the same columns that page had. Title, comments, the scheduling information, the contact information. But I want to add my product specific information. I want to say, well, what's important to me about a product on my website? So maybe I need a product SKU, a stock keeping unit. Maybe I want a category because all products are based in a category. Maybe I want a price or an image. And the way that I add that is I come down and I say, can I add from existing site columns or add from a new site column? Well, what does this mean? This is standard SharePoint stuff. If I select to add from existing site columns, I'll see a whole lot of built-in columns that have been defined by SharePoint that may or may not be useful. Phone numbers and address fields and workflow names. In fact, for me, they're really not going to be useful because I'm talking about custom stuff here. So I'm going to say add from a new site column. And I give it a name and say what kind of data is it. So let's say first I want a product SKU, a stock keeping unit, and it's just going to be a single line of text. Down here, I can have some choices. I can give it a description. I could give it a default value. I'm just going to leave all this stuff as is and click OK. Now I can see that my product content type has product SKU in it. I'm going to add another one. Let's add a product price. And this will be currency. By selecting currency, I then have the option of having some minimum and maximum values. I can select what format should this currency take. I'm going to leave all these values as their default. Just click OK. That's now been added to my content type. I'm now going to come down and add one more. I'm going to say choice. I'll call this one product category. By selecting choice, I have a few different options here. I can type each choice on a separate line. Let's say that I wanted my products to be in perhaps the industrial or consumer or medical categories. Again, it's up to you. It's whatever's important on your website and your organization. Now I'd also typically have, say, a product name, but I can see that I've already got a title here as a single line of text, and title's pretty common across every content type in SharePoint, and that'll actually work for me. So I'm going to add one more thing, which will be the product description. I could make this multiple lines of text, but one of the other options I have here, if I wanted to be a bit more freeform, is full HTML content with formatting and constraints for publishing. That'll be a good one. I'm going to click OK. I could then build this out with more images or descriptions or notes, because typically in a real production site, I'm going to spend a lot longer thinking about exactly what these individual pieces of data are going to be. But keep in mind what we're doing here. We're defining a content type as preparation, because what we can do in a moment is create a web page template, a page layout based on this content type. And the more control and the more defined that we do it in our content type itself, the easier we're going to have a time of it when we build our page layouts in a moment.